Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest edition of the Congressional Western Caucus Chairman's Chat. I'm Dan Newhouse, Chairman of the Western Caucus. I'm delighted today to have my good friend from the great state of South Dakota, Dusty Johnson, be our special guest for a couple reasons. First, I've been to South Dakota. It's a great place. I've been there in January. It's a cold place, but Dusty does a great job of being, I can say this truthfully, he is the best member of Congress from the state of South Dakota.
Oh, it's true. Not even close. Not even close.
Not even close.
A lot of members act like they're hardworking. You are actually indeed hardworking, not just in committees, which of course you are, or the Western Caucus, but being willing to travel other people's district is a hallmark of a hardworking leader.
That's to see things with your own eyes, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. Now, Dusty, Mr. Johnson, is on the Ag Committee.
Well, Mike, the speaker's Mr. Johnson. I'm just Dusty.
Oh, okay, Dusty. Congressman Johnson,
Yeah.
how's that? I'm going to read this part. You serve as chairman of the House Ag Subcommittee on Commodity Markets, Digital Assets, and Rural Development. So, all important stuff, especially for the Western Caucus. So, tell our viewers just a little bit about your jurisdiction, your priorities, some of the things you do, and why is that an important committee?
It is a clunky title because with the jurisdiction, they are connected, but it really is sort of three different disparate areas. So when you talk about commodity markets, you're really talking about a lot of the derivatives trading that members use for risk management purposes to be able to hedge. And clearly a lot more producers are doing a lot more of that. I mean, they understand the value of marketing.
Yeah.
They understand that risk management is pretty key, and not just to get helped out with Title I programs when things really go south, but they want to financially manage their risk on their own, and they're doing a really good job.
As much as they possibly
Much as they can, and not just on the derivatives side as regulated by the CFTC, but commodity markets more generally. The subcommittee would have jurisdiction. Then you've got digital assets, cryptocurrency. I mean, the Committee on Agriculture has jurisdiction over crypto. We do.
Interesting.
And so Bitcoin, that is literally, I mean, everybody in the world agrees that that's a commodity and not a security.
I would have thought that would be financial services.
Yeah, a lot of people do, but financial services oversees securities. They don't oversee commodities. Commodities, whether it's corn or gold or pork bellies or digital assets, those are commodities regulated by the CFTC and as a result the subcommittee. And then finally, rural development. And it's not just broadband. I mean, clearly the Farm Bill has a lot to do with rural broadband, but even prior to broadband, that rural development title had a lot to do with rural infrastructure and has put a lot of money into rural energy for a long time, long before the renewable energy revolution. The Farm Bill and our subcommittee had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, good stuff and interesting stuff.
Very complex. I mean, I've got a background in broadband. I mean, broadband engineering and consulting is what I did. My company did before I came to Congress. So I guess I'm an expert in that. But also the derivatives market's incredibly complex. Cryptocurrency, incredibly complex. And so in general, the members on the subcommittee are willing to roll up their sleeves and ask a lot of tough questions.
Good. So you mentioned it, Farm Bill, probably is in ag country one of the most important pieces of legislation that we will pass, and I say that somewhat hopefully. Talk a little bit about your subcommittee's involvement in that, your role in getting the Farm Bill done.
Yeah, and first I would say you're right, Farm Bill tremendously important, although increasingly not just to the country but also to the city. And as you know, 85 or 90% of the Farm Bill is now nutrition, not just SNAP, food stamps, but a lot of it is SNAP and food stamps.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of other nutrition programs there as well, and to the extent that that's the overwhelming majority of the Farm Bill costs, that means that even city folk really need to care about how we design these programs and how much do we incentivize work, how much do we incentivize healthy living, how do we design a farm bill that really does right by the American people.
Perennial debate about that. Really.
Yes, absolutely, and I'm a former top Republican on the nutrition subcommittee, and these are issues that I care a lot about. But particularly with rural development, I mean, the rural development title is something that, as subcommittee chairman, I've been involved with drafting. I think we're getting closer to a point where we're going to be able to release text. We have been saying that now for a year, but I think there's a decent chance that a committee is going to have markup in the next 6 or 8 weeks. And I don't think a lot of people realize that we are on the cusp of really opening up the Farm Bill in that way. But G.T. Thompson has provided wonderful leadership. He's the chair of Ag, and He met with a few of us just a couple of hours ago to really talk through what do we need to do to get ready to do that important work.
Good, good. Yeah, I gotta say, G.T. Thompson, the chair of the committee, is very, very engaged with all of us, whether you're on the
Yeah.
committee or not. I
Right.
think he's been to almost every state to see firsthand, to listen to farmers, producers, on what's important for the farmers. So that's good.
And he's willing to actually experience things. Now that makes for some, he's willing to look, I don't want to say silly, but maybe atypical. He's bottle-fed piglets in my state. I have seen him ride ponies and horses in other people's districts. And he is willing to go places and do things.
Yeah, it sure is. So you brought up broadband, and that seems to be one of your special interests. Huge issue for rural America, for agriculture. Talk about some of the challenges in making sure it's broadband is there and accessible to everybody.
I think the biggest tension is how do you prioritize dollars? Like a lot of our members, and I would put myself in that camp, want to push the speeds that we build to higher and higher and higher. Oh, 100 megabits per second, that's not fast enough. We've got to build to 200, 300, or 400 megabits per second. At some point, you get to a number that only fiber to the home can deliver. Now, fiber to the home is really what my firm used to do. Design
Oh, is that
8,000
right?
miles of fiber a year, help the business unit that I was in charge of would have helped people figure out how to pay for it.
Well, that was your life prior to Congress.
It was, yeah. And the owner of a broadband engineering and consulting firm with about 450 employees, and that's what we did. And we did some wireless, but we were really a fiber firm, and we were a national specialist in rural fiber. But fiber to the home is expensive compared to satellite or compared to wireless, not phone wireless, but terrestrial wireless, wireless broadband at the home. And so if you set those numbers too high, you really spend a whole lot of money on a smaller portion of rooftops, as opposed to saying we're going to build to 50 megabits per second or 100 megabits per second. In which case, cheaper options can get it done. The problem is that speeds, we need more and more speed. We're doing more and more things. And you're not going to do telehealth. You're not going to do modern business. You're not going to do demanding homework assignments with a slow broadband connection.
Yeah.
So the tension is, how good a network do we build to people in frontier America, and what kind of money does that leave left over, and how many people go unserved while we build networks?
Wow. Yeah. Huge challenges, especially, and it's true in your district, I know, because I've been to South Dakota, as it is in mine. There can be a lot of distance between hookups, between homes, and so that provides huge challenges.
Yeah, and the most rural, rooftops, I mean, it might be $50,000 or $100,000 to get somebody connected. I mean, that would be unusually high, but those numbers exist. Do you spend $100,000 at that one house, or do you spend $5,000 for 20 houses to get them connected with something that's not as good as fiber?
Yeah, right. Well, I'll tell you what, as a member of Congress that represents a rural area, as you do, and many of our colleagues do, it really makes me feel good that there's somebody like you that knows what they're talking about, knows the challenges of rural America. I'm proud to have you as part of the Western Caucus, really am. And you're developing into a great leader here in Congress, and appreciate all the work that you do on behalf of rural America.
I appreciate the kind words. Those are not universally held opinions in Washington, D.C., so thank you. And I just got to be honest with you, Western Caucus is something I will always be a member of, whether I can make a meeting or not. What I know is at those meetings, there are real members having real conversations about real issues that matter,
Right.
and you're doing a great job.
So, Dusty, final comments. Member of the Ag Committee, chairman of an important subcommittee. We've got the Farm Bill. We're hoping to get it passed here soon. I know GT's committed to that. Give you an opportunity for just some parting thoughts for our viewers.
The reason that these issues matter, not just the Farm Bill, but all of the rural related and Western related issues, is because a lot of folks in DC don't understand kind of middle and Western America.
Yeah.
And I think it's incumbent upon those of us who do understand to be forceful, intelligent, and rational advocates for why these policies matter, not to your backyard, and and not to my backyard, but to the health of the entire country.
That's awesome. That's great. Appreciate that. So Dusty Johnson from the great state of South Dakota, thanks for joining us on the Chairman's Chat. And thank you for listening to another version, and we'll see you soon on the Congressional Western Caucus Chairman's Chat. Thank you.